Sahih al-Bukhari 1061.
And this was narrated by Asma, who said, Allah's Messenger finished the eclipse prayer, and by then the sun, eclipse, had cleared. Then he delivered the khutbah, religious talk, and praised Allah as he deserved, and then said Amma Ba'du.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1062. Narrated Abu Bakr.
In the lifetime of the Prophet, the sun eclipsed, and then he offered a 2-rakat prayer.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1063. Narrated Abu Bakr.
In the lifetime of the Allah's Messenger, p.b.u.h, the sun eclipsed, and he went out dragging his clothes till he reached the mosque. The people gathered around him, and he led them and offered 2 rakat. When the sun, eclipse, cleared, he said, the sun and the moon are 2 signs amongst the signs of Allah, they do not eclipse because of the death of someone, and so when an eclipse occurs, pray and invoke Allah till the eclipse is over. It happened that a son of the Prophet, called Ibrahim, died on that day, and the people were talking about that, saying that the eclipse was caused by his death.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1064. Narrated Aisha.
The Prophet led us and performed 4 bowing in 2 rakat during the solar eclipse, and the first rakah was longer.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1065, 1066. Narrated Aisha.
The Prophet, p.b.u.h, recited the Qur'an aloud during the eclipse prayer, and when he had finished the eclipse prayer he said the takbir and bowed. When he stood straight from bowing he would say Sami Allahu liman hamida rabbana walaka elhamd. And he would again start reciting. In the eclipse prayer there are 4 bowing and 4 prostrations in 2 rakat. Al-Azai and others said that they had heard Azizuri from Urwa from Aisha saying, in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, the sun eclipsed, and he made a person to announce prayer in congregation. He led the prayer and performed 4 bowing and 4 prostrations in 2 rakat. Narrated Al-Walid that Abdurrahman bin Namir had informed him that he had heard the same. Ibn Shihab heard the same. Azizuri said, I asked Urwa, what did your brother Abdullah bin Zubair do? He prayed 2 rakat of the eclipse prayer, like the morning prayer, when he offered the eclipse prayer in Medina. Urwa replied that he had missed, i.e. did not pray according to the Prophet's tradition.
Sulayman bin Kathir and Sufyan bin Hussein narrated from Azizuri that the prayer for the eclipse used to be offered with loud recitation.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1067.
Narrated Abdullah bin Mas'udi.
The Prophet recited Surat an-Najm 103 at Mecca and prostrated while reciting it, and those who were with him did the same except an old man who took a handful of small stones or earth and lifted it to his forehead and said, This is sufficient for me. Later on, I saw him killed as a non-believer.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1068. Narrated Abu Huraira.
On Fridays the Prophet used to recite Alif Lam Mim Tanzil as-Sajda in the first rak'ah, and Hal Ata Ilal Insani i.e. Surat ad-Dar in the second rak'ah in the far prayer.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1069. Narrated Ibn Abbas.
The prostration of Sa'di is not a compulsory one, but I saw the Prophet prostrating while reciting it.
Sahih al-Bukhari 1070. Narrated Abdullah bin Mas'udi.
The Prophet recited Surat an-Najm 53 and prostrated while reciting it, and all the people prostrated, and a man amongst the people took a handful of stones or earth and raised it to his face and said, This is sufficient for me. Later on I saw him killed as a non-believer.